It is so incredibly important to hold boundaries with your avoidant partner or your avoidant ex. As a matter of fact, it's important to hold boundaries in a relationship, period. Your boundaries are how you protect yourself, but they are commonly misunderstood. They are not ultimatums. They are not demands that you put on your partner. They are not about controlling the other person. As a matter of fact, you can't control anybody, but what you can control is how you show up for yourself. You can control the effort and energy and access that you give to another person regarding yourself. Because your boundaries are your limits of what you will allow, what you won't allow, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, and what your needs and expectations are. They are essentially the parameters that you set for what kind of behavior and treatment works for you in a relationship. Enforcing that boundary is not about controlling the other person's behavior. It's about you determining what you'll accept and what you won't accept. Boundaries are not about controlling or punishing the other person. They're simply about protecting and respecting yourself. Because if a partner is mistreating you and you are being treated in a way that's hurtful, creating anxiety and heartache, you don't have to subject yourself to it. You can leave, and that would be a way of enforcing the boundary. This treatment doesn't work for me, so this relationship doesn't work for me, so I exit. I enforce my boundary. You're really enforcing that boundary with yourself because you set those boundaries. You tell yourself what it is that works for you and what it is that doesn't work for you. It's your way of showing up for yourself, because you can't force anybody else to show up for you, but you certainly can control how much you show up for yourself. And people that have, hold, and enforce boundaries never get sucked into toxic, emotionally, or physically abusive relationships. They never get sucked into long-term relationships that give them heartache, pain, and anxiety. That's because they set their parameters and they make sure that they only continue and engage in relationships with partners that are healthy for them, that meet their needs and treat them the way that works for them. That's what boundaries are about. So for example, if you have a partner that screams and yells at you every time they're mad and calls you names, you get to send a boundary on that. You don't have to just take it. You can simply say, being spoken to that way doesn't work for me. I find it very hurtful. And if you're not able to speak to me in a respectful way, then I'll have to leave the situation. I'll take a drive. I'll go home. I will go in the other room. And if it doesn't stop, then I'll have to exit the relationship. You're not controlling the other person. You're simply controlling what you're going to allow. So they're mistreating you. You just remove it. You're no longer allowing it. You are the one taking charge on your end. You're not forcing them to do anything different. If they choose to respect your boundary, great. That's their choice. You're not forcing them or controlling them. You are simply communicating what your limits are. For example, another way to protect yourself, when the avoidant pulls away and you're feeling a ton of anxiety because this person that you love and care about is pulling away, they're getting distance, and you're not hearing from them, and you're feeling enormous tons of anxiety because, oh no, I might be losing the relationship. But a person that wants to stay secure and really wants to show up for themselves and doesn't want to put themselves through prolonged heartache will hold a boundary here. And that boundary can look like, hey, I've been noticing that there's some distance in the relationship here and there's been some inconsistency and I haven't been hearing from you much. When I'm not communicated with, I feel like I'm not getting considered, and that really doesn't work for me. And actually, consistent communication is really a boundary of mine. It's something that I need in order to feel comfortable staying in a relationship. And if communication and consistency is not something that you're able to do, okay, I understand, but then I wouldn't be able to stay in the relationship because it wouldn't work for me. See, you're controlling what you will allow. You're not telling them they have to do this. What you're simply saying is, these are my needs, this is my boundary. If they choose to make changes to show up for you, it's their choice, not because you're manipulating them or punishing them. You're simply respecting yourself and what it is that works for you in a relationship. Because every action and every inaction that we take in a relationship, such as holding boundaries, it sends yourself a profound, powerful message. When you hold a boundary, you're telling yourself, I've got my own back. My needs matter, my feelings matter, and I can rely on myself to to show up for myself. Even when it's hard, I can respect myself. It is an enormous confidence booster. And people that have, hold, and enforce boundaries, they are the ones that get to that healthy, emotionally available partner. Because unhealthy, emotionally unavailable partners get weeded out. Because in order to respect the other person's boundaries, in order to show up for the other person, it needs empathy. One must have empathy for the other person. And one of the core components of emotional availability is the ability and willingness to empathize with the other person, meaning to share their emotions, to care about their feelings. The whole thought process of how do my actions impact them and how do they feel? A partner that is emotionally unavailable inherently fails to empathize with their partner, meaning they're in it for themselves. Their partner's feelings are not a consideration. So if you have no empathy and no consideration for your partner's feelings, how can you really respect their boundaries? No, their boundaries are going to feel controlling to you. They're going to feel limiting to you. So emotionally unavailable partners are generally not able to last in relationships with people that have boundaries. They either make adjustments and work on themselves to show up for the other person, or the relationship comes to its natural conclusion. And the person that held the boundaries is now free from that mistreatment. They're no longer tied up in a relationship where their needs aren't getting met, which means that they are now free to meet a partner that is emotionally available. And the way you get to that person is by holding boundaries to make sure that you're not tied up with an unhealthy partner and you are free to meet a healthy partner. A partner that is emotionally available will respect your boundaries because they empathize with you. They want to show up for you. It doesn't mean they're going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Even the best partner will step over a small boundary sometimes. We're all human. But the emotionally available partner that really truly cares about you and wants to show up for you, when they do step over the line, they'll take accountability and work to show up better the next time because they know it's not all about them. So yeah, your boundaries are absolutely how you will protect yourself. They are absolutely how you get to that healthy relationship. And they are absolutely how you protect yourself from enduring excess heartache and agony being breadcrumbed by an emotionally unavailable person. You can set your limits on breadcrumbing. You know, after they've discarded you and shattered your heart, and now they're reaching out and giving little breadcrumbs, but not giving you anything of substance, and they're ripping your heart out of your chest every single time because they're giving you just enough hope, but they're not actually following through. You can set your limit here and end that heartache. You can simply say, while I do care about you, every time I hear from you, and there really is nothing of substance and it's without a purpose, it rips open the wound again. It opens up the scab, and I have to start the healing all over again because what happened really hurt. And I'm trying to heal so I can become more whole and move on with my life. So unless you are reaching out with a true purpose, with a purpose of truly repairing the relationship, then I ask you to please give me my space so I can heal and move on. There you go. You just communicated a boundary. You set your limits with yourself saying, I will not be on the receiving end of breadcrumbing. That's your limits. It's not about controlling them. Now, if they don't respect your boundary, now you get to set your limits even further. You get to block them because you've communicated the boundary. They know what your boundary is. You now enforce that boundary with yourselves because you've told yourself, I'm not going to allow this. So you set the boundary and you block. Because keep in mind, holding boundaries builds up self-trust. Self-trust is crucial for earning secure attachment. Because when your words match your actions with yourself, you learn that you can rely on yourself. And holding boundaries and enforcing them is one of the best ways that you can show yourself that you can trust yourself. And trust in yourself acknowledges your own self-worth, your self-respect, and you'll be less likely to allow your boundaries to be trampled on. You'll be less likely to have self-doubt, and you will be so much less likely to settle for less than you deserve. Don't settle for less. The way that you get more is by holding boundaries. Do it.